It was not so long ago, and not so far away, in a town just like this one, or so they say. There, in an apartment building up on the second floor, lived a man named Dean, whose life was a bore. Each morning he awoke at precisely 6:15, and then he'd begin his same old routine. First he would slip out of bed, stretch and then yawn, and then blink his eyes from the light of the dawn. He would then shower in order to get clean, then brush his teeth for good oral hygiene. He then would get dressed in his standard work clothes. A bargain bin suit was what he always chose. Out the door he would walk, out into the hall, where Dean saw his neighbor, a man named Paul. Each morning they passed, yet they never spoke a word. Not a whisper nor murmur would ever be heard. They walked down the hall, surrounded by quiet, and they'd silently wait for the elevator so they could both ride it. The doors would slide open, and they would step in to the old elevator car, and more silence would begin. The elevator smelled funny, and sometimes Paul coughed, yet they never spoke, they just wanted to get off. The doors would creak open, and they would depart, leaving one another without word. Off to their jobs they would dart. Dean's life was always quiet, and he didn't mind it that way. Being social was hard, and besides, what would he say? Now, don't get me wrong, he did enjoy sound. He enjoyed music and television, just not the social lives of people around. When he would return, late each night, he would go back to his room and pull the curtains tight. And in the silence of the night air, he would drift to sleep without a care. But on this particular evening, in the dead of the night, something strange happened. Things just weren't right. The next morning Dean woke exactly on time. He dressed in his clothes and then knotted his tie. He then opened the door and stepped into the hall, just like his neighbor did, the man named Paul. But on this particular morning, something was awry, for Paul approached Dean and said,
"Lovely weather outside."
Dean stumbled back in disbelief and surprise. Perhaps Paul was joking, yet there was warmth in his eyes. Before Dean could reply, Paul extended a hand, asked if Dean drank beer, and suggested sometime getting a can. They strolled to the elevator, Paul talking the whole way. Dean just nodded in confusion. Was he going insane? Yet when the car arrived, there was no relief to be found, for there was no usual silence in the elevator. Instead, Paul chattered out loud. So many words and sounds, they invaded poor Dean. He had never seen someone this social. To him, it seemed like a joke that was mean. When the doors opened, he sprinted out, where in silence he thought, this is a prank, no doubt. He leaped into his car and then headed for work. But on the radio it appeared they were going berserk.
"A shout out to Dean,"
one DJ said. "I've gone mad," said Dean. "This is all in my head." He raced on home, sweaty and exhausted, and opened his door, ran inside, and locked it. He dove in his sheets, still fully clothed, and embraced the silence that echoed through his home. It was so comforting, there in the silence. Perhaps, he thought, everybody should try it. He fell asleep, peaceful at last. He woke the next morning at his normal 1:15. He stretched and yawned, showered and cleaned, then sighed hard and stepped into the hall's gleam. There he saw him, his neighbor named Paul, standing, locking his door in the center of the hall. Yet when Paul turned, he walked silently past. Not so much as a nod to Dean was past. The world had reverted, it was all right again. Paul didn't speak to Dean nor pretend to be friends. The young man walked happily, right behind Paul, and waited for the elevator to reach his hall. And when the doors opened, there was silence on the air, and the two men stepped in, yet something was missing there. Dean felt strange, perhaps a bit alienated. He missed their conversations, though yesterday they'd been hated. Nothing seemed good. No, not a thing seemed okay. He found himself wishing for days like yesterday. So the young man did something not even he could have foreseen. He offered his hand to Paul and said,
Hi, my name's Dean.